Teun Zuiderent-Jerak. I'm an associate professor here at the Athena Institute, associate professor of interactive governance of health interventions. And I have a background in science and technology studies, which is a field that's well represented here within the Institute and that deals with the interaction between knowledge production and societal problem framing. So the interface of science and society, how are those intertwined, and what kind of problem spaces does scientific practices open up or close down. It's one of the things I'm interested in. Yeah, so the research I'm involved in is exactly at that interface, and that doesn't have to relate to global health problems, but that is one of the really interesting spaces in which that interface comes up quite strongly. So some of the work I've done has been in relation to the care for the trans community, transgenders in Argentina, where there is a big difference between the scientific problem framing, which is about finding medical solutions for transitioning people from either male to female or female to male, and the societal problem framing that's radically different, because in Argentina they've adopted a law that allows people to change their passports and their documents without doing what's called a full transition and develop the body accordingly that they feel matches their gender identity. Now that's exactly one of those moments where you see there is a big disjunct between the scientific problem framing and the societal problem framing, and how do those somehow get aligned? So how do you develop, for example, health guidance that's based on scientific evidence but doesn't take the same assumptions that are in that scientific evidence? So one of the courses I'm most involved in is a course on global health interventions, which is very early in the curriculum. And one of the wonderful things is that it's a course in which students are very actively involved. Of course, we provide lots of input and lectures and all kinds of thinking to work with, but the actual work is done by the students who develop a project which consists of an intervention in a global health issue and the evaluation of it. So again, that really focuses on this mix of what kind of problem framings do we take, and how does the scientific work that we want to do match that problem framing rather than the other way around? Do we imagine the world in the light of our epistemological framing, or do we start from what we think is a good problem definition and then think about what kind of knowledge production practices could be connected to that? So that's in that course. People in groups have to work on defining what the intervention is that they want to do and what the method is which they would like to find out what actually happens when you do it. Not just measure its effects, but also learn from the process. And that means you have to focus on a wider range of research methods, which is exactly what people have been trained in just before, because that's the opening course of the master's program, because it is a research master's. So you also get a chance to immediately start working with that. So that's part of the great fun of the course, is for me to find out what people come up with. If you're interested in these kinds of questions, this is really a fantastic program. There's very few programs where you get that much attention and interest from the people who are running the program. There's a very direct connection of collaborating with the staff of the Athena Institute. And if that's something you'd be interested in, we hope to see you in the fall.